Hello, my name is Kaylee Schnack, and I'm here to complete Module 1 for 901. I live in Hays, Kansas. I'm originally from Salina. My husband and I have been married for 7 years. His name is RJ. He also works at Fort Hays State. I have a adorable 2-year-old son named Kingsley who is in the toddler stage. We are very independent but very busy. I also have a bulldog who is 7 years old named Holly. In my free time, I enjoy spending time with family and traveling. We've gone to Chicago with our little boy. We've also gone to Progresso, Cozumel. We love cruises. We love road trips, any airplane trips, anywhere that, is new, we enjoy going. And Kingsley usually travels along with us. We enjoy watching sports. We just watched the Chiefs win yesterday. We're going to watch Dallas today. We're a house divided. My husband is a Dallas fan. I feel sorry for him. Anyways, and in my free time, usually during the summer, I like to do crafts and painting and calligraphy and all of that. Background information, I went to Southeast of Saline High School. I went to Southwestern College and have an elementary education degree and a minor in leadership studies. I went to Fort Hays State and have a master's in high incident special education K-12. I went to Wichita State and have a master's in special education early childhood birth to 3rd grade. I also have the educational leadership endorsement from Fort Hays State that I got last May, and now I'm doing my district. So lifelong learner here. This is my 10th year in education. I started in special education for 6 years, and then I got burnt out, so I jumped to general education. This is my 4th year in it. I'm currently the title and academic coach for Bickerdike Elementary in Russell. I also run our after school program that was just started, so that we're in our 2nd year. And I'm on a bunch of different committees within the school. Previously, I've taught in Winfield, Hays, and Nevada, Iowa. So teaching keeps me busy. Looking at our module, they basically were asking questions that went with the CLO 4.1 standard. And so some of the things that I pulled out, I answered questions like verbatim on the module, but I'll just kind of highlight what I took away from our readings. The big thing that they talked about was just having that student-centered environment, and then having students, have that influence of co-creating a learning plan. We talked about teachers being the architect from Green. I love this part of being the architect for students learning. Students learning, it should be personalized, and it'll always be changing because it's what they need. And it's going to take a lot of time, and you're going to have to understand like what curriculum you're working with, making sure it aligns with this, the state standards, making sure you have the appropriate instruction, assessment, and evaluating and feedback, and providing that feedback for that personalized learning. They also talked about in our articles about having building focused relationships with climate and culture, and making sure that teachers are also looking for the whole child. I love this part from Green as well. Not just looking at their academic side, because sometimes we just get honed in academics, and there's a lot more. There's interests and things that they want to pursue, and we need to be looking at that as a futuristic and optimistic way, because not all students are gonna, want to go to college, after they finish high school, or, not all students are gonna want to, hold degrees in certain things, and so we have to just, be open to supporting whatever their future or whatever they want for their future. There was talk from the U.S. Department of Education about, supporting bandwidth for technology and things like that for learning at home. So you need to make sure as a district and school that we are providing students with the necessary opportunities to have a high quality education. Specifically, if we're going to have high speed internet, or our devices, are they going to be, outdated? Are they going to be, updated? Those types of things. And just, having that needs assessment. What is the district and what are the school needs to be successful? Continuing from CLO 4.1, some other things that I pulled was from the National Institute of Excellence in Teaching. They talked about, implementing high quality curriculum. It's going to take time. You have to have structures and you have to have supports. And I think the big thing is professional learning. You can, train, but if you never go back and, revisit what you've been learning or have those collaborative moments with your staff, veterans helping newbies helping veterans, then you're never going to get the full high quality curriculum that you can get. Another thing from National Institute of Excellence was talking about, having having a plan. Specifically, looking at your mission and vision statement. Is the curriculum that we're working on, is that going to be a short-term or long-term sustainability? Is it going to support what our students needs? Whatever works for a rural county school in Kansas might not work for an urban, school in Kansas City. So there's just different, things that you have to take into consideration. And then we also talked about risk taking, and that came from the Office of Educational Technology, the culture of trust and innovation. You have to have people that are going to have trust and buy-in on what you're going with, but you also have to make sure that it's going to fit the mission and vision statement that, your district has set forth. So, looking at CLL 4.2, this was just more talking about, having the collaboration and meeting the diverse needs. And so the U.S. Department of Education talked about, having professional development programs, mentoring models, specifically for newer teachers. But I also think we need to focus on veteran teachers too, because the newer teachers, yes, they're coming to schools and they don't have very much experience, but they have lots of new research-based material that can help us veteran teachers. That's weird to say that I'm a veteran teacher. You don't feel like you've been it for 10 years, but you have been. But veteran teachers, they need, that support as well, especially when we had COVID-19 and trying to figure out how to run a remote classroom was very difficult, and figuring out all these things. So basically, we need to be supporting teachers of all different gears, from novice to veteran, and then making sure that we have a quality of teaching, and that we are having that culture and climate of it's okay to fail, because that means that you're learning from your mistakes. And that's kind of what this article from Sarah Yolkovo talked about, the attitudes, the motivation, the competencies, the creativity, the self-efficacy, and having that freedom from administrative pressure. I think as educators, we put too much pressure on ourselves sometimes to be perfect, but there's no perfect teacher. The other thing that I found from Green was talking about student agency, and I'd never really heard that saying before, but that just talks about giving the students a voice. They know what they want, they know what they like, so having that as your teacher-driven motive to personalize their learning, but also meet their needs in the middle. CLL 4.2 was discussing was just basically talking about taking risk, and like I kind of said earlier, the fail forward model, and learning from your mistakes, and admitting that you're wrong, but just how are you going to grow from that? They talked about, aligning budgets. You have to make sure that, whatever you're going to purchase, whether it's curriculum, technology, transportation, all of the things that kind of go into a school, is it aligning with your mission and vision statement? Is, purchasing the newest technology, is that going to, help or hinder? Do you really need it at this point? And I know a lot of schools kind of went through that communication of, I don't know if we need new technology. After COVID-19, a lot of us do need new technology with, prehistoric computers or, laptops. So, and then I pulled from Madarfia that policies need community input, because community members are most likely to know how they will unfold in practice. So again, team collaboration and building. As a district, it's not only the teachers that you have on your plate, you also have the community members and the parents and the students. So everybody has a voice, and we all have to work together to meet our mission and visions. Okay, this was CLL 4.3. So this is just talking about, what kind of culture are you going to and enhance, or what type of culture are you trying to go for? And that it comes down from the district. It just trickles down from that hierarchy. Okay, district sets the primary culture, and then it goes to your schools, and then it kind of goes to classrooms, etc. So just making sure that students are engaged, and that, stakeholders are, understanding of the decisions that are being made, and while they're being made, that we are supportive of it, that we have incentives for it, and that we recognize the work that we do. I think that many times we just get stuck in the realm of, oh my gosh, we have to keep going, meet our to-do list. And we don't recognize the work that we do and the hard work that we do, because we are trying to personalized learning experiences for students, and we want them to be successful, after they leave us, because they are our future. And that was something that I read in one of the articles they discussed about having personalized learning, because it will eventually, catapult into them leading the government and, leading all these other societal things. They are our future. And if we don't have this set out for them, then our future for us and for them is not going to look very positive. The other thing that I found from Saadir Koval was just talking about dedication and responsibility for society, that we need parent involvement, strong communities, society backing, in order to be successful. We also need to have, from the educational technology, talked about a shared vision, leading and learning district that, is open to their stakeholders to collaborate and adopt, that benefits our goals. Continuing CLL 4.3, they discussed the talents that educators need. So just, again, professional development, and making sure that our workforce is not only empowering educators, but they're also listening. Teachers know lots of things, but most of the time we are so micromanaged in our profession. So we need to know that we do have a voice. And it's important for educators to recognize the social and emotional competencies that can be different through different cultures. U.S. Department talked about students living in color, seeing historical, moments of American history. If you go to the George Floyd thing, if you go to, the racial empowering movement, and then you could go to LGBTQ and all of those types of things, and seeing, all of those rights and things being built within history. So schools are needing to practice cultural responsive practices, having intentional conversations, and support social emotional learning. I mean, these kids are seeing lots, especially with social media and the news, and we have to be that, comfort to, not only listen to them, but try to guide them through the chaos of the world that we live in. And then the last part from CLL 4.3 that I found from the U.S. Department was talking about providing opportunities for students to be voiced, and this decision making, especially with COVID-19. I know that there's lots of kids that just kept reiterating, I didn't like learning at home, or it was hard for me, or, my parents were always fighting, or, we didn't have much to eat, those types of things. And so we need to make sure that we're still connected with our students, because their mental health matters along with, their academics again, the whole child from that article of Green. And then the last part was personalizing instruction to meet interest and needs for the student. And then modifying. We can always modify if we need to. The last part was the CLL 4.1. And this was just talking about being sustainable with your district leadership, making sure that you're, looking from the futuristic of 5 to 10 years, coming up with strategies to, have new resources coming in, donations, budgeting, grants, those types of things with funding. And then focusing on the whole child. Office of Educational Technology talked about just having a strategic plan, have that shared vision, and just take actions to meet those goals. And then understanding that students need to not only be academically successful, but they also have non-academics that will make them successful. And so they need to be able to find success beyond the classroom. The last part was having a rich learning rich learning resources, so districts providing, on-demand access to high quality content for teachers and students, and then having a high quality professional development, after school programs, summer school programs, attendance, consistency, accelerated reading, accelerated learning, technology, up-to-date books, quality materials, curricular and instructional design.